Good morning. We're looking at, Thursday, December 23rd? Or December. Sorry, I'm way off. I'm already ready for Christmas, I guess. Anyway, March 22nd. Yes, Thursday, March 22nd. So I always start these videos once I get out of our little town for a couple reasons. One, I'm now on all straight roads and a lot less, I don't have to maneuver, things like that. So easier to do this. Plus, less chance of catching this earbuds, the cord to my earbuds on anything while I'm turning and doing that sort of stuff. But I find it interesting. So, school zones, the purpose of school zones are to make sure that cars are slowing and are slowed down for areas where children, the school, where children could be at and potentially, get into the road. So, our high school here, which is, some of you out there would think it's a really small high school if you come from a big city, but compared to my high school, which the entire high school had 192 people my graduating year, this high school's, 2 or 3 times that size. So, but anyway, the actual school itself takes up, 3 or more city blocks, 2 to 3 city blocks, So you would think that the school zone would at least be those 2 or 3 blocks. And then presumably you would think a block or so on either side. No, the school zone for our high school, and I'm not exaggerating when I say it is less than 1 city block long. So you get the school zone sign about a half a block before you get to the high school. And then the school zone end sign is like a few feet into the next block. So, like I said, at best, between the two, it may be 1 block long, but I think that'd be stretching it. So I don't get our school zone here, because again, I don't get it. I mean, granted, majority of that extra space is taken up by like football field and stuff like that, but still. Anyway, maybe they think because it's a high school, there's less chance of a kid running out in the streets. I don't know. Anyway, that was kind of random and off topic here, but I want to talk about one of my favorite subjects today, which is my son. He's 3.5. He's growing up way too fast. I know, parents always say that, but it seems like every time I blink, he's growing up more and more and maturing more and more. The other day, and he's always coming with some new word that I didn't teach him. One of them, which I know where he got it from, but one of the words he used the other day is duplicate. We'd gotten him a Mash'em. For those of you who don't know, there's these little squishy, stretchy little things in this. Usually they sell them in the form of some sort of TV character, either Transformers or some superheroes, or you can get them in PJ Masks, and all the the popular characters right now. You can probably find a Mash'em in them. Well, they come in these sealed packages, and you can't see which one you get. You just know which series it is. Like, for example, you get a Transformer, one from the Transformer series, or one from the Marvel or superhero series, and so on. So, but other than that, you don't know which one you're going to get inside the container. So the other day, he was a real big helper. He didn't complain. So we rewarded him with we had bought my wife Jill had found a bunch of them on clearance, and grabbed up a bunch of them. Anyway, we gave one to him the other day, and he's like, "Oh, I hope I get whatever one he wanted." I think it was Bumblebee, and he said, "But it's okay if I don't," because we've been teaching him that you don't know what you're going to get in here, and I know you want Bumblebee, but if you don't, that's okay. We're still going to like it, and he's always been really good about it. But then this last time we gave him one, he's like, "I hope I don't get a duplicate." And at first, I just thought maybe he was, echoing something he saw on, because he watches YouTube Kids, and most everything he watches on there is kids playing with toys or kids opening toys or whatever. That's how he found out about Mash'ems. Because we don't have regular TV, so there's no commercials or anything that he's seeing. So, anyway. So I thought, well, maybe he's just repeating it from one of those, which he was. But I thought, well, maybe he doesn't really understand what the word means. So I asked him, I said, "Well, do you know what duplicate means?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't want to get two. I don't want to get one I already have. Because I don't want to get two of the same one." So I don't know. I guess if you're going to learn something. If you learn something from YouTube, I guess that's a good thing to learn. So, but I'm sure that's where he learned it from, because we haven't, used that word duplicate with him before. And granted, I suppose he could have gotten it from grandma or somebody like that. But that's where he sees the Mash'ems is on YouTube. So, people have, sometimes poo-poo on the fact that we reward our son for good behavior and all that stuff, and some people would argue the fact that, well, he should just do it because it's the right thing to do, which, right, granted, he should. But when you're 3.5, how else are you going to teach a kid to do something, just because it's right? Every parent will tell you that I want my kids to have it better than I have. I don't know of any parents like, I want my kid to have a worse life than I did. Any parent that's not a psychopath would agree that they want their kids to have a better life than they did. We got thinking about that the other day, and first of all, people say that, but really think about what do they mean by that? They mean a better life financially, emotionally, psychologically, all that. Which one or all are they talking about? Granted, if you had a horrible, abusive childhood, by all means, you pray that your kid has a better, has a better life than you did. If you had an abusive parent, that obviously, again, unless you're a horrible person, you don't want your kid to have the same thing. But I feel that most of the time, in the context of the conversations, people are usually talking about financially or monetarily. I think back to my childhood, and I think every person, at least until maybe until they have children of their own, and they look back and what they see, or at least what I used to see when I think about, I want my kid to have it better than I did, or I want to be able to give my kids the things that I wasn't able to give them, or my parents weren't able to give me. I really think about that. I'm like, okay, so what did I do without? What did I not get to have because of financial restraints or whatever that my parents had, or just even if they could afford it, just choice to restrain things from me. I think about what did I do without? I always had clothes. I never went without clothes. I didn't have to go to school with ratty, torn up clothes. I never had designer clothes, but honestly, I never really wanted them. I know maybe my sisters would have a different opinion on that, but I put on a pair of jeans. I didn't care if they were, Levi or dungaree. I didn't care. But they were never trashy. They were never holy. They were always clean. My parents told me the only thing I ever wanted that was name brand was I wanted a pair of Nike shoes, and my parents wouldn't spend the money on Nike shoes. And they told me, and once I got a job, they were like, okay, if you want a pair of Nike shoes, you can buy them yourself. But, I mean, again, was I really deprived of anything? Did I not grow up? Was I not a better person because I didn't get to have Nike shoes? No, I mean, it didn't affect the way that I was as a person, or where I am today was not affected because I didn't have a pair of Nike shoes. So I didn't grow up deprived of any necessities. And I even look at the stuff that I wanted and didn't get. Again, I really can't sit here and make a list of things, That I look at other kids and see that they had this or that, or get into high school and see that Johnny's driving this nice car and I'm driving a $300 pickup truck occasionally. But again, would my life have been different if my parents could have gotten me a nice sports car? Or would my life been better if they could have gotten me that, or a nice brand new pickup truck or whatever? No, I don't think my life would. I know my life wouldn't have been any better now if that had happened. In fact, there could be arguments, made that my life now could have been worse if that had been the case. So, the idea of wanting our kids, being able to give our kids the things we couldn't have, I think, if we look back, we're looking at it through a child's eyes. And that if you really think about it, really look about it, or really think about it, again, unless you're saying that you want your kids to have a better life emotionally than what you had, I don't know that we can all look back and say, granted, I'm not, painting a blanket picture here. Yes, there are some kids that are impoverished, or that live in poverty and don't get to have clean clothes and that sort of stuff, and that's not the people I'm talking to. Yes, if that's the way I grew up, then yes, definitely. If that's the way you grew up, then yes, strive to be able to give your kids a better life. But the people I have conversations with that say these sort of things aren't those kind of people. They grew up in homes that they didn't do without. They didn't do without necessities. And I think that, again, when we say those things, we look back and looking at them through child's eyes. As in, as a child, there was probably times as a child I thought we were just so poor and couldn't have anything because there was that new gaming console that I couldn't get, or there was, whatever, that new bike or that motorcycle or dirt bike or whatever it might have been that I couldn't have because my parents couldn't or wouldn't afford it. But none of those things, if I had had those things, would have in any way made me a better person now. And I heard someone say once that our job as parents aren't to make our kids be good kids, but it's not our job to train them to be good kids. Our job is to train them to be good adults. And I think a lot of times if you have a parent that is able to and does just give a kid everything they want, that doesn't teach them to be good adults. And whether my parents deprived me, quote unquote, of the things that I wanted because they didn't have money or because they just knew better, I look back and thank them because, again, I think my life would be different now if I had been given everything, but I don't think it would. I don't think it would have been a better life. I don't think it would have helped me any. So, do I look back and say, "Hey, I want my kid to feel loved. I want my kid to know that I love him and that I'll always be there for him." All of those things, yes. At the same time, I think that we can, reward our kids for things they do well. I've had people, have the argument that we shouldn't do that. And again, I know I kind of trying to come back full circle here now, back to what I was talking about at the beginning, but I think that if we're constantly just giving our kids stuff because they want it, yeah, that's probably not a good thing. That just because, hey, Johnny says he wants this toy, let's get it for him, then yeah, that's probably not a good thing. And in fact, I do have a hard time when I go to a store. I want to give my son a toy I know he likes. I want to get it for him, and I have to be careful about just doing that. But I think if we have stuff and they earn it, then that's teaching them something. Because too many kids, young adults this day have that mentality that they're entitled to something, and I think if we teach our kids, hey, I do have this nice toy for you, but you have to earn it, then that is teaching them something that, hey, if I work hard, there's a reward for it. And that's typically how we do stuff. I'm not saying that there isn't times that I just find this cool thing and I want to bring it home and give it to my kid. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I love giving things to him. I love seeing the excitement on his face when he gets a new toy. But if we typically those little prizes like the Mash'ems or those little things I know he likes, we'll get them and then we'll put them aside and we'll give them to him as a reward for something he's done to earn it. And I think that's good. Do I want my kid to have a better life than me? I don't think I had a bad life. My parents always took care of us. There was always food on the table. In fact, if someone looked at me today, they'd probably be like, yeah, there was probably too much food on the table. And we always had clean clothes. We always had, clean selves. We weren't dirty kids. We weren't dirty clothes. We weren't playing with rocks and sticks as our only toys. I don't know. Yeah, if you had a horrible childhood, you were an unloved child, you were an abused child, you were a child that lived in poverty and was dirty and couldn't have clean clothes and didn't have parents that loved you, yes, by all means, give your kids those things. Because if nothing else, those things don't cost you anything. Love doesn't cost you anything monetarily. So, yes, definitely give your kids a better life. But for those of us who grew up being loved and having necessities and, I don't know that we really had it that bad. And to look back and say that I want my kids to have a better life than that, I don't know that we need to give them a better life than the good life we had if we try to look at it through the lens of an adult and not as a kid. I don't know. I think I'm repeating myself now. I'm almost at 20 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I love my kid. I love giving him things. But bottom line, we try to balance that between just giving things to him and making him earn them. So anyway, I love my boy. I love my wife. I love my family. And that's number one. I'm going to make sure my son knows that I love him. So, and if you have kids, you should make that your first priority too. Everything else will fall in place. Anyway, I'm almost to work. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.